The average new truck sold in America today costs over $55,000. Yet independent repair data shows the most common drivetrain failures are now clustering between 58,000 and 65,000 miles. Millions of truck owners are hitting a mechanical wall just as their vehicle drops off the used market value cliff, losing an estimated $8,000 to $14,000 in resale value the moment major repairs surface. Last year, transmission and suspension failures on trucks less than 5 years old were cited in over 30,000 roadside breakdowns, reported to AAA, and that number only counts the members who called for help. A survey of independent truck repair specialists found that post-warranty powertrain complaints have risen sharply over the past decade, with some shops reporting trucks under 75,000 miles now represent the majority of their major repair caseload. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, currently has dozens of open preliminary investigations into structural and mechanical defects on trucks manufactured within the last 6 model years. Investigations that have been open for years without formal recall action. If you bought a new truck in the last 5 years, statistically, you are inside the window. Your truck, your loan, your family in that cab. And the people who built it knew exactly when it would start to go. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the engineering decisions, the boardroom calculations, and the regulatory failures that turned the most trusted vehicle in America into a ticking clock. And here is what they do not want you to know. There is a pattern. It is documented. It is real. And it is not random. Reliability data pulled from consumer complaints, independent shop repair orders, and owner community forums consistently shows failure clustering in a narrow mileage window, a window that aligns almost perfectly with the end of the standard powertrain warranty period. Most people assume trucks wear out because owners are hard on them, towing, hauling, off-road use. That is the story the industry wants you to believe. Trucks are workhorses. Failures are the owner's fault. But scatter looks random. This does not look random. This looks like a deadline. According to data from J.D. Power Vehicle Dependability Study and consumer complaint records filed with NHTSA, major drivetrain failures on full-size trucks from recent model years are concentrating in a band that independent repair specialists consistently describe as 58,000 to 65,000 miles. 15 to 20 years ago, a major powertrain failure under 100,000 miles on a full-size truck was considered an anomaly, something worth talking about, worth documenting. Today, according to repair professionals, it is the expectation. That reversal did not happen by accident. It happened because something changed inside these trucks. And the cliff edge is the first piece of evidence. The truck performs perfectly on Monday. Then on Friday, somewhere on the highway, there is a shudder through the pedal, a low moan from somewhere under the floor. The warning light comes on, and everything changes. We are going to show you exactly why that moment arrives when it does, and who calculated it. Here's where it starts to get ugly. On the outside, new trucks have never looked better. Bigger screens, better seats, more chrome than a showroom floor. And the price reflects all of it. Vehicles that sold for $32,000 a decade ago now start at $50,000 and climb past $80,000 in loaded configurations. Most buyers assume they are paying more because they are getting more. But inside the drivetrain, inside the frame rails, inside the suspension and cooling systems, the story runs in the opposite direction. Manufacturers have systematically substituted lower-cost materials and simplified components to protect gross margin as raw material and labor costs climbed. Thinner gauge metals in non-visible structural areas. Simplified heat management in transmission assemblies. Reduced bearing specifications in driveline components. Sandy Monroe of Monroe & Associates an engineering firm known for detailed vehicle teardown analyses, has publicly discussed the cost reduction pressure that shapes modern vehicle construction from the inside out. Each individual substitution is small. Each one passes internal testing. But together, they represent a fundamental downgrade in what the vehicle can sustain over time. The outside is armor. The inside is foil. And you paid a premium for the armor without knowing the foil was underneath it. Here is what makes this worse. The price kept going up while the internal specification quietly went down. That is not a manufacturing error. That is a margin decision. The truck looks stronger than ever. It is not built that way. It gets worse. The material substitutions inside the truck are only half the problem. The other half lives further up the chain, in a global supply network so layered and so fragmented that even the manufacturer, whose logo is on your hood, may have limited visibility into what is actually inside the components bolted to your frame. Modern truck assembly draws parts from a tiered supplier structure. The brand assembles the vehicle. A Tier 1 supplier provides major assemblies. A Tier 2 supplier provides components to that supplier. A Tier 3 sub-supplier, operating under cost pressure in a different regulatory environment, provides the raw materials and subcomponents to Tier 2. When that Tier 3 operation cuts corners on metallurgy or heat treatment, on the microscopic internal structure of a bearing or a gear, the flaw is invisible on day one. It passes inspection. It ships. It gets installed. And the clock starts. The failure does not announce itself early. It builds silently and invisibly inside a sealed component that no one opens to check. According to reporting from Automotive News and Ward's Auto, supplier consolidation over the past 2 decades has reduced the competitive quality pressure that once kept sub-supplier standards high. Fewer suppliers means less redundancy. Less redundancy means less margin for error. And when the error finally surfaces, it surfaces at 60,000 miles on a highway with your family in the cab. The component arrived in a sealed box. No one questioned it. The failure was already inside. But here's the part they do not publicize. You would think that with all these sensors, all this computing power, all these screens and warnings and diagnostic systems, your truck would tell you when something was going wrong deep inside it. You would get a warning. You would have time. But modern engine and transmission control modules, the computers that run your drivetrain, are calibrated to maintain drivability. Their job is to keep the truck feeling smooth, even as underlying components degrade. A transmission losing clutch pack integrity, which means the friction surfaces inside it are wearing away, will have its shift points quietly adjusted by the control module to reduce the symptoms you feel. The truck feels fine. The dashboard stays dark. The damage compounds invisibly. By the time a fault code is triggered and a warning light finally appears, the component may already be beyond economical repair. The difference between catching a transmission problem early and catching it at total failure is the difference between a $1,200 service and a $6,000 replacement. That gap exists because the software was designed to smooth over the symptom, not report it. And here is the kicker. The diagnostic data that would reveal this pattern, the detailed internal logs inside the control module, is frequently not fully accessible to independent repair shops. The Right to Repair Coalition and the Coalition for Auto Repair Equality have documented how proprietary diagnostic access is restricted to dealer-level equipment, leaving independent shops and owners in the dark about what is really happening inside their vehicles. Your truck is keeping a secret, and you paid for the truck. If you are finding this information helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to support this channel. Thank you. Now we get to the calculation. The warranty. Most buyers see a 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty and read it as confidence, a promise. The manufacturer is telling you this truck is built to last at least that long, probably much longer. The warranty is a floor, not a ceiling. That is not what the warranty is. Warranty terms are set by actuarial and engineering teams, working from the manufacturer's own internal reliability data. Data that tells them precisely where statistically significant failure rates begin to climb. The warranty window is engineered to expire just before that climb begins. This is not a theory. This is standard actuarial practice, documented in automotive engineering and business literature. The manufacturer knows more about when your truck will fail than you will ever be told at the point of sale, and they set the window accordingly. When failures cluster at 60,000 to 65,000 miles, and the warranty expires at 60,000 miles, that is not coincidence. That is arithmetic. According to financial disclosures available through the Securities and Exchange Commission, manufacturers carry warranty reserve accounts, pools of money set aside to cover in-warranty claims. Analysts have noted that maintaining those reserves is often cheaper than redesigning the component. The math works in their favor. Extended warranties, the ones the finance manager walks you through on delivery day, carry estimated margins of 50 to 80% for the dealer, according to automotive retail financial analysts. The system was designed to make sure that when your truck breaks down, it is your problem, not theirs. They did the math to make sure of it. Imagine this. You bought your truck 3 years ago. You made every payment on time. You kept up with the oil changes, checked the fluids, did everything right. Last Tuesday, you were on the highway, 67,000 miles on the clock, when you felt it. A shudder through the pedal, a low grinding moan rising from somewhere under the floor. You pulled over. The warning light came on. You called the dealer. They told you the powertrain warranty expired 7,000 miles ago. The repair estimate came back at $6,400. Your truck is worth $28,000 on a good day. Your extended warranty, the one the finance manager talked you into signing, has a $500 deductible and a list of exclusions that covers exactly the component that just failed. You are on your own. The breakdown was not bad luck. It was a scheduled event, and no one told you it was on the calendar. Here is where everything connects. Every layer we have uncovered, the cheaper materials, the fragmented supply chain, the software that hides the decay, the warranty window calculated to expire at precisely the right moment, all of it persists because a system that should be catching it is not functioning the way you were promised it would. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the federal agency responsible for protecting you from exactly this kind of pattern, operates with an investigative staff that automotive safety advocates, including the Center for Auto Safety, have described as chronically understaffed relative to the volume of vehicles on American roads and the complexity of modern vehicle systems. The Government Accountability Office has published reports examining NHTSA's investigative capacity. Preliminary investigations can remain open for years. The complaint data is public. It is sitting in the NHTSA database right now, available to anyone who searches their vehicle's year and model. The pattern is visible in those complaints: the mileage at failure, the component, the cost. It is simply never assembled into a coherent picture for the people who need to see it most. Meanwhile, class action lawsuits over defects are frequently settled with confidentiality agreements. Major automotive publications, which derive significant revenue from manufacturer advertising, have a structural disincentive to pursue sustained investigative coverage of systemic quality failures. The information exists. Thousands of complaints are sitting in a government database, each one representing a person stranded on a highway, a family absorbing a bill they did not budget for. The data is there. The pattern is there. The system designed to protect you has the information, and has not acted on it loudly enough or fast enough. That is the real reason your truck is falling apart at 60,000 miles. First, go to nhetsa.gov and pull the complaint history for your specific year and model. Read the complaints filed by other owners and pay attention to the mileage at failure. If you see your number coming up in those reports, that is not a coincidence. Second, before your powertrain warranty expires, take your truck to an independent shop, not the dealer, and pay for a full drivetrain inspection. Ask for a written report. That documentation matters. Third, if you experience a failure that you believe stems from a design or materials decision, file a complaint with NHTSA directly. Volume of complaints is what triggers formal investigation. Your report is not just frustration, it is data that regulators are required to track. Fourth, if you are considering an extended warranty, have an independent attorney or consumer advocate review the exclusion list before you sign anything. The exclusions are where the profit is hidden. Fifth, connect with owner communities specific to your truck's year and model. Pattern recognition happens there first, long before it reaches regulators or mainstream coverage. Here's what I want to know from you. Drop your year, your mileage, and what failed in the comments below. Not just to vent, though that is completely valid, but because when enough of you put your data in one place, it becomes something that regulators and journalists cannot ignore. Your comment could be the one that connects the dots for someone else, or for someone investigating this from the outside. The real reason your truck is falling apart at 60,000 miles is not bad luck, and it is not how you drive. It is a system of cost decisions, supply chain shortcuts, software concealment, actuarial engineering, and regulatory silence built around protecting profit, not protecting you. If you want to keep seeing the stories the industry hopes stay buried, subscribe, because we are not finished pulling on this thread.